The other week, we had a workshop here led by Venerable Jigme, who's the head of the community care team, about advanced directives, where we can set up in advance instructions on how we'd like our medical care to go if we ever get incapacitated, and who we would like to make decisions for us, such as for things like life support, if we can't make those decisions ourselves. And she also brought up a Dharma wheel, and I've had a advanced directive for some time now, but I still don't have a Dharma wheel, and it's something that I want to really look into doing. And um, things that people often have in their Dharma wheel is about what kind of environment they'd like to be dying in, and what kinds of practices, spiritual practices, they'd like people around them to be doing while they're dying and sick. And I remember when I first heard this, I thought, I think that might be a little bit distracting to like have people around me. And I think I'd prefer to die where it's silent and, very peaceful and calm. But then I had an experience a few days ago that really changed my mind about this. Um, I think most of you know I was cleaning some gutters at Shanti Cabin, and there was a wasp's nest inside one of the gutters. And so I was poking around in there, and then a few of them came out really quickly, and one stung me in my left ear. And I remember screaming, and Venerable Kadro said, what's going on? I said, oh, don't worry, I was just stung by a wasp. It's no big deal, this has happened before. It just hurts. And she said, okay, well, let me give you a little insect bite pen. So I went inside. And then I came back out to start cleaning again, but then Venerable Deki saw my ear, and it was like really swelling. And she said, I think you should go in and put some ice on it. So I was like, okay. So I go into the Ananda building, and by the time I get to the door, already I can tell that something is a bit different than the last time. Like my hand and my whole arm is covered, starting to swell with hives, and the left half of my face is also getting really red and swollen. So I go to see one of our community care members, and she goes to get Venerable Jigme right away. Venerable Jigme comes, and she says, get the EpiPen. So, stick it in my leg right away. And at that point, I was like very disoriented. My whole body was covered in hives at that point. And I just remember being so itchy. And at the time, Venerable Jigme and Venerable Jampa kept saying, breathe, deep breathing. And that was so helpful, because my mind was just consumed with like the discomfort that I was experiencing at the time. And then on the trip to the ER, Venerable Jampa kept reminding me again to breathe, to recite Tara mantra, to visualize Tara. And that was really helpful, because I was just trying to maintain the anxiety, not to keep it from going out of control. I was having trouble breathing, and it was so hard to focus my mind at that point. And then when I got to the hospital, they gave me a lot of steroids and an injection and more epinephrine, and the reaction started to come down. And after 2 hours, it was clear that it was going to be okay. A lot of people kept attending to me, and then also we had nice Dharma conversations with Venerable Jampa during that time. So I learned a lot of Dharma lessons actually during this experience. And the one that I was very vivid at the time was, I remember looking in the mirror at my face, and it was like super swollen. And I was like, oh my gosh, I look so angry. I look like a hell realm being. And my body was in such discomfort. And I was really convinced that this was some kind of karma or hell karma ripening in the present, in the human body. And I was like, wow, karma really is definite. This is for real. It was just very striking. And I was very distressed about my appearance. And I'm like, wow, I still have a lot of pride that I need to work on. And of course, there was the unpredictability of the time of death lesson in the Lamrim, and also the vulnerability, fragility of the human body to death. Even a tiny little thing can cause you to die. And then what really stuck out the most was the kindness of others, and how dependent I am on other people for my precious human life. And also to keep virtue within my mind. So it's obvious that I'm dependent on other people physically for my survival. If Venerable Jigme, Venerable Jampa, and the ER staff had not been there, I might have died. I don't know how serious it was. But what really struck me was like how much I was relying on other people to keep a virtuous state of mind at the time, because I just went sort of immediately into like anxiety and just discomfort and wanting pain to stop. And I saw how difficult it is to control the mind when the body is, sick or having a lot of discomfort. And this is not something I experience on a daily basis. So, sometimes I get the sense when I do death meditations, I'm not really getting it. It's not really going very deep. But this experience showed me how dependent I am on the health of my body to keep a stable mind. And that just wasn't there during this experience. And there was our Anagarika Nicole, she came in and when this first started happening, asked me a Dharma question, and it was like, I really couldn't answer it. So then she started talking about physics to try and distract me. So that was very nice. But yeah, it was like I had no mindfulness training at all, and I couldn't even focus on the breath. It was really humbling. So yeah, I'm pretty convinced now that without Dharma friends, it's very difficult for Dharma or for virtue to arise within our minds, especially when the body's in pain or in discomfort. And I'm really struck by how dependent my precious human life is on other people, other beings, because it's like within our whole existence and samsara, the precious human life is such a small window, and due to our own merit and the merit of others, we have the chance to transform our minds right now. But, compared to our other rebirths, that's just really not a possibility. And so, so thankful to have the chance right now to practice ethics and to live a healthy lifestyle, to practice the Dharma. So now I'm really convinced of the importance of having Dharma friends around you when you're dying. And so I will include that in my Dharma will. And so I just think the Dharma will is also hugely important. So whoever's watching online, I really hope you'll think about doing that, because it's such a challenging time in our practice to really keep our mind in the right place. And with the support of others, we can actually use the dying experience to realize deeper levels of mind and to generate bodhicitta and hopefully get a precious human life in the next rebirth.